Truthpaste. We're going to talk about the speech Farrakhan gave at the Million Man March anniversary. A lot to talk about. Assalamu alaikum. Let's get it. When Minister Louis Farrakhan gives a speech, boy, do people listen. A lot with defensive ears, but people pay attention nonetheless. We're going to talk about a couple of things that he spoke on in the speech, but it was like a 2-hour-long speech, so there's no way I can touch everything. At the beginning of the speech, Farrakhan addressed our Native American brothers and sisters, which I thought was great and fitting for the moment. But he shouted them out as kind of a message to black people that, hey, we need to know where we land as far as the list of oppressed goes. We're not at the top. In a society where most groups just speak on behalf of their groups or stick to themselves, it was refreshing to hear a black man talk about, hey guys, we're not the ones that were most wronged. He also talked about how women need to stop calling other women bitches, men as well. I thought this was a very interesting topic, calling for both men and women to stop using the word when speaking to one another, because a bitch is not a queen, clearly and obvious. That's not what you're going to get. A king will find a queen. That is fitting. A bitch will only find a dog, and most likely another dog, and another dog. We as men, who are the dogs in this equation, need to stop dogging out our women. We're devaluing our women, thus devaluing ourselves and our race. What was so intriguing about this section was the number of wives the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has. But Farrakhan spoke to that later. He has a number of wives. These are seeds that need to be nurtured and watered. As far as these dogs, they're just humping and running. There's a big difference, apparently. He then started to talk about religion and Jesus Christ and how those who claim Jesus don't necessarily live like Jesus did. And I don't think he was mentioning living off meager things, but just the principles of Christianity, being able to forgive, things like that. He used the Pope as an example where he said that the Pope talked to a number of victims who were sexually abused by the church. He didn't ask those people to ask for forgiveness from God. Instead, he asked for forgiveness from the church, because those running the church are the ones who did them wrong. He was essentially saying, hey, we've been taught to forgive, and we as black people have forgiven you for slavery, but we can't ignore like it didn't happen. It's this weird principle, like if you apologize and someone accepts your apology, it's like the shit didn't happen, which isn't the case. It happened. We still need to talk about it. Why so many people don't like Farrakhan is because when he talks, he makes you uncomfortable, because we're going to talk about what you don't want to talk about. Because imagine an 80-year-old black Muslim man telling Christian people that they read the Bible but don't live the Bible. And that probably ruffled some feathers. But then Farrakhan followed that by talking about how all these material things don't mean shit. When you die, we all get buried the same. And that our black leaders, those who are being focused as leaders, have the opportunity to cash out on an opportunity to be the face of this shit, but you shouldn't. Malcolm and Martin both had opportunities to sell out and cash in on being the face of black people, but they didn't. They stayed true to the cause. Truth be told, if you're popping to black people, you're popping to these companies, and they want to use you for marketing to hit that demographic. Don't do it, is what he was preaching. Because we're uneducated in how these deals go down. We're put in an environment where these things aren't taught to us, so we got to learn on the fly. We get the wrong end of the deal. Khan was speaking to how we need to educate ourselves. We need to come together as black people. Stop looking to these white people to help us out. We need to figure it out on ourselves. Issues in our community that we need to take care of. We got problems in our households we need to fix. This is stuff we need to take on as black people first. That's when Farrakhan got all sized up and he started talking about how we need 10,000 men ready to go to teach and be able to stand in the line of fire of our own people. That's the funny thing about Farrakhan. He'll have a real nice somber tone, and then he'll just slowly start to turn up like boiling water, and then he just goes off. Come right back with something. My brother, I'm sorry, but the spirit of injustice captured me and has led me to yelling in this tone. But people really don't like Farrakhan because he speaks the truth and makes you uncomfortable. You may not agree with him, but he makes you think about things you didn't want to think about. But isn't that what makes a great speaker? Someone that invokes some sort of emotion or thought for you to take away? I mean, you may not like it, but it is what it is. Really, let's think about it. If he said something that offended you, that means either it was way off base or it applies to you. So take a hard look at yourself and figure that out first. Because as he also stated in the speech, judge not who should be judged first. Don't cast that first stone if your house is made of glass. But as I sit here sharing this, I wonder how many people are like, fuck Farrakhan, and how many people are like, you know what? I fuck with Farrakhan. If you fuck with Farrakhan, think about why you fuck with Farrakhan, and it should be for you, not because everybody else does. If you don't fuck with Farrakhan, is it because you don't like him and his position, or you don't like him because of something else? And I suggest you decide on a position now, because he's leading the charge for black people, and it's heading in a direction that a lot of us knew were going but didn't want it to go. Because he told Martin, he said, look, I understand this nonviolent thing, but you're directing it towards the wrong people. Direct it towards your own, not to these white folks. Focus on helping get your own people together. We need to come together instead of trying to bring in these other people to help us when they don't want to help us. And that's the message Louis Farrakhan is preaching. We gonna get this justice or else. And that or else is potentially scary. Because for over 100 and some odd years, this country has worked to divide us. Now it looks like we're working to come together, and that's a scary thought. Because if two black, uneducated men standing on the corner scare you, imagine what 10,000 educated, well-trained black men will look like to you. It'll either look like a dream or look like a nightmare. Either way, it's happening, and it's happening soon. Get ready. Brush up.